Have you ever woken up in the dead of night, frozen, feeling like someone was watching you? Now imagine that feeling never goes away because something is watching you, waiting, lurking in the corners of your dreams and reality. This is not just a nightmare. This is the story of the dream stalker. It started when I was a child. My mother would find me sleepwalking, staring at the wall, mumbling nonsense. But what I saw in those moments wasn't nonsense to me. It was a man, faceless, tall, and watching me from the corners of my dreams. He never moved, he never spoke, but I knew he was waiting for something. As I grew older, the dreams became worse. The faceless man no longer stood still. He moved, creeping closer with each nightmare. One night, I woke up paralyzed. I couldn't move, couldn't scream, but I felt him, standing by my bed, watching me. I could hear his breath, ragged, distorted, unnatural. I told my mother, but she dismissed it as just nightmares. Until one night, she heard me scream. She found me standing in my room, my fingernails digging into the wall, whispering in a language I didn't know. Her face turned pale. And that's when she told me about my grandfather and how he died in his sleep, whispering the same words. I stopped sleeping. The more I fought the dreams, the stronger he became. I'd see him in the reflection of my TV screen, in the window, in the corners of my vision. He wasn't just in my dreams anymore. He was here, and he was hungry. I knew I couldn't run forever. That night, I let sleep take me, and he was waiting. But this time, he wasn't still. This time, he reached for me. His hands wrapped around my throat, and I felt myself slipping away. But then, I remembered something. My grandfather's last words. I whispered them back, and suddenly, he screamed. A sound so terrible, the dream itself shattered. I woke up gasping. The room was still. The air lighter. He was gone, but I knew he wasn't destroyed, just waiting, watching, and someday he'll try again. Some stories don't just stay in your head, they take root, fester, and then, when you least expect it, they come to life. What if the very thing you feared most wasn't lurking in the dark, but waiting in your own mind? For as long as I can remember, my family has carried whispers of power. My grandfather, long gone but never truly silent, once told me we were witches. I never fully understood what that meant until the night I met the thing in my closet. I had powers, but I had no idea how to use them, and that ignorance nearly cost me everything. It started with a story, a horror podcast, playing in the background. A man trapped in a cabin, stalked by a grinning demon with the yellow eyes, hiding in his closet. Just a story, right? But that night my closet felt wrong, as if something had been waiting all along, watching. The fear was irrational, but it was overwhelming. I couldn't take my eyes off the closet. I felt it in there, staring, waiting. And then, without warning, the door flew off its hinges, crashing against the wall. The air turned suffocating. I wanted to run, but something told me if I left the room, I would never make it past the door frame. After that night, I wasn't the same. The world outside felt distant, dull. My thoughts were no longer my own. I dreamt of escaping, of slipping into my own mind, where nothing could hurt me. A world where I could stay forever. But I didn't realize that's exactly what it wanted. It fed on my despair, twisting my thoughts, shaping my escape into a trap. And it wore a familiar face. Chris Evans. I told my friend, an experienced witch, and she knew immediately I had created it. My fear had given birth to something real. If I wanted to live, I had to reclaim my mind. I confronted it, declared my power, and for a while, it worked. But the full moon brought it back. Stronger, more desperate, and this time, it wanted to finish the job. My friend astral projected into my room to fight it. I poured my energy into her, burning every ounce of fear into power. When I woke up, I felt like I had been crushed under something massive. My body ached, my soul felt stretched thin, but she had done it. It was gone, or so I thought. She finally messaged me that night, and what she told me chilled me more than anything else. It had fought back, it had nearly killed her, and worst of all, it had worn his face. The one thing that had kept me alive. It had twisted it against me. That was the night I learned the truth. We don't just fear the dark, we create it. And if we're not careful, it will consume us.